Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
It's Ham Radio.
And good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live, episode number 232. Contest calendar with Bruce Horn, WA7BNM, recorded live on Thursday, October 15th, 2020. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. And as I said, tonight we're joined by Bruce Horn, WA7BNM, and we will take your calls live a little later in the show. We'll give you the phone number for that here in just a minute, so you can have that ready to go. Last week here on the show, Michael Colley, W4MCA, and John Knott, N4JTK, were here to talk about the cancellation of the Orlando Hamcation for 2021. If you missed that show, you can listen anytime over at hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. And you can catch the rebroadcast of Ham Talk Live on Saturday afternoons on WTWW. That's 5085 a.m. Again, that's Saturday afternoons. It's about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time over on WTWW. So thanks to Ted and the gang for having us on their afternoon ham radio lineup over on 5085. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and we're going to talk about some contests that are coming up. But Jamboree on the Air is this weekend, so I'm sure COVID is playing into that somewhat, but there will be some scouts on the air this weekend, so get on the air and give them a call. And also, School Club Roundup is coming up next week. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then we want to congratulate Lance Leffler, KD9QNP, just got his license this week. My friend Eric Irwin, WB9PTN, let me know about that. So congratulations to Lance. So get your questions ready to go here for Bruce. If you're listening to us live on Thursday night, you can give us a call in the next segment. I'll tell you when it's time to call, but here is the phone number so you can have it handy and ready to dial. It's 859-982-7373. Again, 859-982-7373. You can also tweet us, assuming that Twitter was working again, and it was a few minutes ago anyway. A little sluggish, but we'll give it a shot. It's at Ham Talk Live over on Twitter, and we'll be watching that throughout the night, as well as the comments here on Spreaker as well. And I'll be back with Bruce right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Thanks for choosing Tower Electronics. How may we help you today? We have PL259s, we have in connectors, we have SMA adapters, We have BNC adapters. What can I show you today?
Where's the tower?
Well, we don't actually have a tower with us, but we have all kinds of things you can use with a tower. We have power poles, antennas, soldering irons, and meters.
Where's the tower?
Ma'am, that's the name of our company. We can't haul towers to all the hamfests across the country that we visit, but we have almost every connector and adapter you would need to connect your antenna that's on your tower.
I don't think there's a tower back there. I really don't.
Tower Electronics. Visit us at a hamfest near you or call 920-435-2973 or see our whole catalog at pl-259.com. Sorry, one thing we don't have is a tower.
Running barefoot is for the beach. We're cranking 1.5 trillion nanowatts right here on Ham Talk Live.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Thanks to Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight to help bring you Ham Talk Live. They do have a couple of Hamfests on their calendar. Bedford, Indiana, just down the road from me, November 7th. And Fort Walton Beach, Florida, November 13th and 14th. Or you can visit them anytime online at pl-259.com. Joining me tonight is Bruce Horn, WA7BNM. He is the creator and maintainer of contestcalendar.com, as well as 3830scores.com, where contesters post their claimed scores. He's also created contest-related web apps for log submission and the online certificate creation of a variety of contest sponsors, including the ARRL, National Contest Journal, and many state QSO parties. And we're happy to have Bruce with us tonight. And he's the programmer of contest stuff, is what I will call him. So, Bruce, welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Thanks, Neil. It's nice to be here.
Well, you put together a lot of this stuff and make it a whole lot easier to keep track of scores, keep track of when all these things are, and we really appreciate all the work that you do to do all of this. And it seems like people say, "What? You know what? It seems like there's a contest every weekend." Well, actually, there is a contest every weekend, and you collect all of that information and post it so people know what's going on. And we're getting into what is kind of known as contest season, where some of the big ones are coming up. So for those that aren't familiar with your website and your service, tell us about contestcalendar.com and what people can find when they go there.
Yeah, thank you. So as the name describes, it's a calendar of contests. And I'll say right up front, because I get asked this periodically, it's not a calendar of events. It's not, the World War II memorial station. You get a certificate for having a QSO with them. There's lots of things like that. The ARL publishes lists of that. I think em.net does, but I don't. It's strictly contests, which means you need to keep score. You need to submit your score in some way. That's the simple definition. So the contest calendar essentially lets you know when contests are. And then in order to be a little more helpful, the idea was to provide a summary of information about each contest. Admittedly, that summary is not complete, but it basically tells you who the contest is designed for. Is it a US-based contest? Is it a worldwide contest? Is it a California contest? What are the modes? What bands are involved? What power levels you can run? What's the exchange of information? I need to provide you with a signal report and my QTH, something like that. A basic summary of how it's scored, information on how to submit the log, and where can you actually find the official rules. So that's always important. I try to do an accurate summary, but sometimes things change. And sometimes I have a senior moment and don't get it right. I try to avoid those, but it's not impossible. So the idea is all of this is stored in a database, and you just get different views of it. So there's something called an 8-day calendar. 8-day calendar tells you the contest for yesterday and the next 7 days and gives the detail I just talked about. The next version that's sort of highly used is the 12-month calendar. So it's telling you what are the contests over the next 12 months, what are their dates and times, and you can click on them to get the detail I just talked about. And then the other one version that's fairly popular, I call the perpetual calendar, because some contesters like to really plan ahead, as far off as a couple of years. So this calendar allows you to look out at least 5 years for contests that have known schedules. The California QSO party was the first full weekend in October, for example. It's always the first full weekend in October. So if you look in 2023 in the perpetual calendar, you'll see when that is. Not every contest that is known for, so not every contest is on the perpetual calendar. Then in addition to the website, you can subscribe to the calendar, the 8-day calendar basically, as an emailed calendar. I send it out on Monday evenings, my time. I'm on the West Coast. You can look at a Google version of it if you have your own Google Calendar or you use Google Calendar, incorporate other events. There's a Google Calendar version, although it doesn't go out a long ways because I have to do it manually. And there's also Twitter that you could subscribe to WA7BNM calendar, and you'll get notifications again on Mondays of the contest for the coming week as tweets that just say, here's the name of the contest, here's the dates and times of the contest with a clickable link to get you the details. So that's basically the calendar.
Okay. And, and there's a lot to keep track of. And it seems like to me that there's been a real jump in this last, several months of the number of contests, the number of QSO parties, and definitely special events since the pandemic started. And there's been a lot of, noteworthy events that are kind of competing for weekends on the calendar. And are you noticing a big rise in the number of events that are sponsored?
You're exactly right. I should have mentioned that currently the calendar has about 430 active contests that are maintained in it. I don't know how that's changed, but indeed in 2020, I would say I've added a dozen or so contests to the calendar. I think that's driven indeed by the pandemic situation. More people are home, maybe have more time to operate in some cases, so they're more engaged. The state QSO party challenge has been a huge influence on activities in state QSO parties. So every state QSO party has seen huge increases in activity on those. And then the other thing that's happened, it seems like, I don't want to denigrate them, but it's almost like every little group has decided to have a little 1-hour contest sometime during the week. Contests are no longer just on the weekends. They're throughout the weekdays, an hour contest here, an hour contest there. Some of them really have minimal participation. Some are very popular. CW Ops has a series of contests that are on, Tuesday, Wednesdays, 3 different times that are very popular worldwide contests, for example. But you're exactly right that there's been an increase in contests on the schedule.
And the trying to get, a weekend that's clear, you're probably not going to find one because there's always something going on. And like you said, there's the CW Ops contest through the week. And I know the worldwide sign band activity contest that some of the young people put together is also in the middle of the week. So there's more in the middle of the week and not just the weekends anymore. Well, I pulled it up and took a look at what was happening this weekend. So just as an example here, we've got oh boy, and I should have done my my pronunciation here. The Araucaria.
Looks like Araucaria.
Araucaria Worldwide VHF Contest, the Jarts Worldwide RIDI Contest, the 1010 International Fall Contest CW, the New York QSO Party, the Illinois QSO Party, the Stu Perry Top Band Challenge, Worked All Germany Contest, the Feldhell Sprint, which I believe is a recurring one, Argentina 7 Megahertz Contest, the Asia Pacific Fall Sprint in CW, the UBA, I'm assuming that's ON, is that Ontario or is that...
no, you're right. That's country? Belgium.
Okay. Belgium. Okay. On 2 meters. And the Classic Exchange, the RSGB CW Rollo, the Run for the Bacon QRP contest, and the K1 USN Slow Speed Net. Or Slow Speed Test, I'm sorry. That's all this weekend. So, there's always something, and some of these have, different modes, different bands, different agendas, different clientele, depending on what you're looking for. So there's a variety here to pick from.
Well, exactly, and it's an international calendar, so it's full of contests, regardless of where they occur in the world. It isn't a U.S. calendar or a North American calendar. It's literally a worldwide calendar. What I didn't mention when I was talking about various views of the calendars, because of that, you may not be interested in seeing all 430 contests all the time. So there's a custom version available that actually stores the contest you're interested in a cookie associated with your browser, so that you'll just see, you can check off a whole bunch of check boxes, the contest you're interested in. And so when you go to something like the 8-day calendar, you will only see those. Any new calendar that gets added automatically gets added to your list. So that's one thing to do. But, you ran down the list there for this weekend is a great example. Some of those are annual contests, Jarts RIDI contest, QSO parties, state QSO parties are. Stu Perry Top Band Challenge is 4 times a year. Feldhell Sprint is monthly. Asia Pacific Fall Sprint, the CW is once a year, but there are 3 versions of that. Run for the Bacon is a monthly contest. So, and like the K1 USN Slow Speed Test is a relatively new contest. I think it's maybe 4 instances old, something like that. It's designed for people who are trying to get more comfortable with their CW, and it keeps the speeds below 20 words per minute. And for the guys who are fast, 20 words per minute seems like it's really, really slow. But I remember when I was first trying to get to 13 words per minute to get my general license at the time, 13 seemed like, wow, I don't know how I can copy this, I sort of maxed out at 10 and finally made it to 13. So, there's a lot of different things for a lot of different audiences here.
Well, and we're coming in, like I said, some of the big ones are coming in, the proverbial contest season coming up. So we're going to take a look at a few of those bigger ones. But first, I want to talk about School Club Roundup next week, just because I'm always involved with that and have the school on. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we're not going to be on next week. And it's the first time we haven't been on School Club Roundup since like 2003 or 2005, something like that. But it's still going on. There's a lot of schools that aren't going to be able to be on that much. So you may not hear as much, on School Club Roundup next week, just because the schools can't actually get into the shacks and can't actually, run, the whole 24 hours through the week. But School Club Roundup is one that's running next week. So any comments about the School Club Roundup, Bruce?
Well, I think it's really a great contest to support. I always enjoy reading the comments from the various schools and their participants. It divides schools clear down to the elementary school level up through universities into the different categories. And, it sounds like kids have a great time with this, and it's sort of like helping the future of ham radio to encourage kids to participate in these kinds of things. So I think you're right that activity will be down, but I would certainly encourage people to help schools participate in this by getting on the air and contacting them.
Yeah, I think you're going to see, some schools on. It's just probably not quite as long of a period of time, and maybe not as persistent as some. But hopefully there'll be some that will be able to do that. But I know here we're not going to be able to. I know several in our vicinity are not going to be able to be on. So hopefully the February one will be a little bit better. And already Troy, who is W9KVR, he is the sponsor at a school over in Illinois that we kind of talk to a lot, was already giving me the, yes, it's not a contest. Speech. So we always, it's kind of like field day. We have this thing, is field day a contest? Is field day not a contest? And so technically it's not a contest, but there's still a score. So the kids see it oftentimes as a contest. So we'll leave that one. But let's talk about some of the ones that are definitely contests here. And, probably the biggest out of the bunch is CQ Worldwide Sideband that's coming up here in a week?
A week from this weekend. Yeah, so we're really just getting started in the contest season for the major contests. I know I participated in my first CQ Worldwide Sideband back in 1990. I was mainly interested in DXing at the time, hadn't ever entered a contest, and I was quite a ways into ham radio by that time. And I was just looking for new countries. And hey, it's an easy way to find new countries when you've got the whole world talking to each other. Easy exchange, signal report in your zone, not too tough. So all you have to do is manage to work your way through the QRM and hear copy of call signs and sideband. So that's certainly one of the biggest contests of the year. And then you get into November, you have ARL Sweepstakes, a very popular contest in the US and Canada. Has a complicated exchange is the downside of sweepstakes. You need to read the rules and understand what's expected of you, and you have to give a sequential serial number. So it's a little tough for casual operators who just sort of show up and go, hey, what's going on in the band here? I want to jump in. Then at the end of November, which is actually the largest contest, I believe, of the year, is CQ Worldwide CW. And just like CQ Worldwide Sideband, but in CW mode, another great opportunity to work countries all over the world. Then you're into December, ARL 160 and ARL 10. 160 will probably be more exciting if you have an antenna for it than 10 is. Not a whole lot happened on 10. I know I've been on 10-meter contests where I was lucky to work a couple other people here in Los Angeles and didn't really hear much outside. So I don't know that that's going to be really exciting. And then there's another Stu Perry there before the end of the year. And also the RAC, Canadian winter contest is in late December. Another opportunity to work lots of people.
Okay, so all great contests, and like you said, It's a great time to pick up some countries, and I know that's what I do. I am not going to be able to run, 24, 48 hours, on a lot of these longer contests. And there are sprints out there that are short-term period contests, but I'm not going to run, 48 hours. I'm going to run a few hours, and my goal isn't necessarily to win, but to pick up some countries, pick up some new ones or some that I don't have confirmed, and that's a great time to get in there and do it. And so I always look forward to doing that, especially CQ Worldwide Sideband. So some good ones coming up here as the year comes closer to the end. So we are coming up close to a break. So, Bruce, we're going to take a break right now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more about the contest, and we'll take your calls at 859-982-7373 and your tweets and comments and all that stuff when we come back after this word from ICOM America right here on Ham Talk Live. Get out and be active with ICOM's new IC705 and its optional multifunction backpack. Now shipping. The IC705 is the perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers in a portable package, covering HF, 6, 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and only weighs 1 kilogram, or just over 2 pounds. With RF direct sampling for most of the HF band, IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz, and a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall. The IC705 runs 5 watts with the battery BP272 and 10 watts with a power supply. Sideband, CW, AM, FM, and full D-Star functions are available. A micro USB connector, Bluetooth and wireless LAN, integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger, a micro SD card slot, a speaker mic comes standard, and supports QRP operations. The perfect accessory for your IC705 is the optional backpack LC192. It has a special compartment for your IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Copy 594 from Ham Talk Live.
And welcome back to Ham Talk Live. ICOM America helps bring you Ham Talk Live every week. Check them out at ICOMAmerica.com/amateur and that new IC705. Ham Talk Live's on the air every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on HamTalkLive.com. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And it's time for your phone calls right now. So if you have a question for Bruce, give us a call. It's 859-982-7373. Again, 859-982-7373. Or you can tweet us. It's at Ham Talk Live on Twitter. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or on the podcast edition, I'm sorry, but we're not here anymore. This was on Thursday evening, so you won't be able to reach us here. So we have several comments and a few questions here, so we'll just kind of start running through those. Troy, W9KVR, over in Watseka, Illinois, says look for them during the Illinois QSO party this weekend. And Chris, AA4CB, is here and says VHF and UHF contests are his thing. And Troy also mentioned they're going to try some remote operations for School Club Roundup, so hopefully they'll be on some from Glen Raymond Middle School over there. And let's see, we have another question. We have a question here from John, W4USF, down in Florida, says, what is the longest running ham radio contest and when did it start? So Bruce, any ideas on that one?
Yeah, so luckily Neil gave me a heads up, and that meant that I could Google this. So what I found is that ARL Sweepstakes is the longest running domestic ham radio contest. And it started in 1930, obviously with some timeouts during World War II. But as far as the oldest from when it started, that would be the oldest contest domestically.
All right, so there's the answer for you, John. And let's see, let me run over here to Twitter and see if we've got anything over here. And then I've got one that came in earlier. Okay, don't see anything there. So let's go actually to Ed Durant, DD5LP from Germany. And Ed wants to, first of all, thank you for all of your volunteer time that you put into all of this. And he also wants to know, how does information get from one contest calendar to another? Is there a main one that feeds the others, and is that all done manually? He says, I believe N1MM Plus, which is a popular contest logging software, uses one specific one, but there are so many around, and some contests are in some and not in others. So are all these contest calendars islands, or are they networked kind of like the DX clusters? So you're the programmer guy, so hopefully you've got an answer for that one.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Generally, they're islands. If you Google contest calendar, I have to say mine will come up first. It's been around since 1996. SM3CER had a contest for calendar for a long time. And was very popular in Europe, which I can understand, and did a great job. I actually had more information, not just contest information, but DX information than I do. Unfortunately, Jan had medical problems, and he hasn't updated his calendar in, I think, about 2 years now. So it's pretty much defunct, I believe. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're talking about other calendars, I collect all my information from primary sources. I'm well enough known that contest sponsors tell me when they have a contest or tell me they're thinking about a contest. So I think I've got it pretty much covered. There's a few little, very small contests that probably aren't on there. I'm going to guess that others collect information from other calendars. I'm quite certain that there are calendars that get put out by picking contests off of mine that they think are interesting to their audience, such as Life. It'd be nice if they credited the source, but they don't always do. The one thing I would say that is organized is the ARL has Contest Corral that they publish in QST every month, and that is a direct feed from my calendar. I do a version data dump for them that they can then easily translate into what you see as the formatted corral. It has a deadline of about 2 months prior to the issue, so that's when all that information gets updated. I'll call it the second part of the question is, how do logging programs get this information? And there are certain features that I didn't talk about in my calendar that makes basic information about the contest available to logging software authors if they're interested to avail themselves of that. But how you get a new contest that's not a big contest, and something like N1MM, for example, has the ability to have a module that you write for sort of custom contests to include in it. That's not, you can tell people, download this module, it'll work with the N1MM, and you can use it to operate the contest.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, Ed, for your question all the way from Germany. We appreciate you listening and submitting that. If you have a question, you can send that to us by Twitter at Ham Talk Live, or give us a call right now at 859-982-7373. Again, 859-982-7373. And we're getting through most of this, so we'll leave it open here for a few more minutes and see what we get here. Let's see. I want to make sure we've acknowledged everybody in the comments here, and I think we have. So, again, 859-982-7373 if you have a question. Now, you set up the calendar and everything, but you're also setting up a lot of these web submission forms for contests and getting these beautiful certificates to generate from that data. So talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, so, I've been doing this for some time. I don't know which ones I started with. And I did it on one of my servers. But earlier this year, I made a decision to, I guess partner is the right word, with the Worldwide Radio Operators Foundation, WWROF. And Trey, N5KO, and I have done the work for contest.arl.org, the new contesting portal that the ARL has up. And out of that, I sort of got this idea of, rather than running on my servers, that maybe it would be better if it was in a common server supported by an organization like WWROF. So existing ones like, I'm trying to think what's an existing one, Oceania DX contests, which were just concluded, were existing ones that we moved over. Louisiana QSO Party we put on this year. Washington State Salmon Run we put on this year. Florida QSO Party we moved over. So it gives these, I would call them medium-sized contests or QSO parties, more sophisticated tools for handling logs. Handles the log submission, makes sure the log is formatted right before you can get it through. It's essentially the same kind of logic you see in the big guys contests, ARL or CQ, and gives you a list of logs received. And then if they want, we can provide them with certificates. So for instance, I just got the information from the Washington Salmon Run last night and uploaded their data. So now if you go to their site and click on certificates and enter your call sign, you'll get online PDF certificate just like you would on ARL site or NCJ or CQ Worldwide. So it was designed to give a service for that. We provide it for free. WWROF pays for the server, and just a way to try to make things a little more, I'll call it professional in quotes, for smaller contests to be able to take advantage of.
Very good. Well, we appreciate all of your efforts on that, and I know I see that myself with School Club Roundup a lot because we submit those twice a year and see those certificates come out, and we're always looking for the scores, and we're always counting down the days to see when the scores are posted. So that's always great. And you also are doing some of the work on these live scoreboards to where you don't have to wait.
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, I worked with a group who was, had come up with this concept, and we sort of laid out what the data should look like that should be exchanged for live scoring. And there were sort of fits and starts about a live scoreboard then. In some ways it was too early, didn't really gain much traction. But about 2-3 years ago, it really started to gain traction again. I was actually sort of surprised that they were using the XML data, that blob definition that we had come up with 10 years before. And then I suggested, rather than individuals having to decide, well, which scoreboard should I send my score to? that I would build a score distributor. And so that's what we would encourage people to do. Send it to the score distributor, and which is at scoredistributor.net. Most contest logging programs now have that as the first choice if you're going to do live scoring. And what it does is it forwards your posted scores as they occur every 3 minutes, every 5 minutes, whatever, to the two existing scoreboards, CQ Contest, which is Russian-based, and COSB, Contest Online Scoreboard, which I think you had on your show at an earlier date, which is Canadian-based. And that way, your score goes both places, and you get to pick, and your buddy gets to pick whichever scoreboard they like the best.
Okay, so that's some other great stuff, and I don't see anything else here, and we've got a few minutes, so let's talk about a little bit about 3830. Now, the serious contesters are going to know about 3830 scores, but tell us a little bit about 3830.
Yeah, so 3830 comes from people. I think it started with the Yankee Clipper Contest Club many years ago. They get together on 3830 kilohertz after contests and exchange their scores. Then the internet came along, and people started exchanging them on the original CQ Contest email reflector. Wasn't in a very organized manner. Some volunteers collected that information and tried to make sense out of it. And then, I don't know, I woke up one day and had this idea that maybe we could do this in a more organized manner. So I built a web form that collected the information and sent it via email in a standard kind of form. And the people volunteering to do the collection, which was DINK in 7WA for a very long time, could take that. Then I realized, geez, I'm collecting information. I should put them in a database. So I collected them in a database for a long time. And then finally, I started making those available on the web. And so that evolved into the more refined 3830 Scores website where people post their claim scores. You know, we expect people to be honest about what they think their score was, not say, oh, I'm sure I scored 2 million points, even though I only had 20 QSOs. Not to game the system. You want other people to post good data. You need to post good data. And that's evolved to where it is now. So it's pretty popular. It's used by hams in about 130 countries. And CW Ops, for instance, in their 3 times weekly contest, uses it exclusively as their means to collect their scores, as do a couple of other weekly kind of contests, which works well if you don't want to have to deal with logs and you're going to accept the claim score as the score. And then you can do comparisons. You can search, you can compare yourself different years. You can compare with other people, a variety of tools like that. You can look at your contest club, how other members of the club are doing, or you can define a group that you want to sort of say, hey, we want to see how we're doing against each other.
All right, very good. Well, we've got a call and we've got another message that came in. So let's go to the phones first. Good evening. Welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Good evening, Neil. This is one of your fans from downtown picturesque Rochester, Minnesota, K0MD.
Good evening, Scott.
I just wanted to say that Bruce has the most popular contest website on the web globally and probably does more for contesting than any single person around with his website. And one thing that hasn't been brought up that Bruce provides is certificates. And even for the National Contest Journal sponsored contests now for the QSO parties and sprints, he has contest certificates available and has done this all just really with no charge or cost to the contest community. Does it out of the just the generosity of his usual self. So I wanted to call and thank him for and let your listeners know what a really strong and advocate he is for contesting, and what a really high contributing ham radio operator.
Totally agree. Bruce?
I heard nothing.
You heard nothing. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, this is Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD here, and he was commenting that you have the top contest calendar out there and wanted to thank you for all of your efforts and contributions, and you do more for contesting than probably anyone else in coming up with all these certificates and all these scores and all the work that you volunteer each and every day for this. So it was just a big thank you from him about all the work that you do.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, Scott. Obviously, I know Scott about to come off as editor of NCJ and active contester, even though he's an extremely busy physician.
Thank you, Bruce. Neil, thanks. Congratulations on another good program tonight. I'll let you get on to the next caller and also your promotion of the Wildcat Nation.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate your call. All right. Well, let's see. We do have another question here before we get to wrapping things up here. John, W4USF wants to know, are there any AM contests still around?
There are, but very few. So
I can think of the AM rally. I remember the AM rally because we've plugged that on the show.
Now here, I need to go back. I think the Classic Exchange has AM, SSB, and FM, which is coming up this weekend. Time to get your boat anchors out. Those
There you go.
Modulation transformers.
Troy WNIKVR says he always thought 3830 would be a great place to show scores for school club roundup, perhaps. So,
well,
yeah.
One of the reasons we don't do that is because school club roundup has pretty quick scoring and pretty minimal participation. So we've just never added it. Could be if there was a desire out there. But to be honest, the difference between when the scores are available and when the contest is over is so short that I'm not sure there's a lot of benefit in claim scores. But,
unless you thought about. I know where Troy's coming from on this one, because when you have a whole bunch of people in your school saying, "So how did you do this week?"
Yeah.
They want that instant gratification, and I think maybe the live scoreboard would be good, but we'll have to get some people to voluntarily try it out.
I'm not sure, the school club roundup is you get on as you have time as a school, and I'm not sure how much overlap there is there to watch that live, but I'm not sure it like you said earlier, you're going to get that much participation this year, but hey, let's put up on 30 and see what happens.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll see some advances in that, and people can voluntarily put their scores on, and we can take a look at those. So that's always something that, the kids always want to know. Well, did we win? Did we win? Did we win? Did we win? And so I know where Troy's coming from on that one. Well, Bruce, I think we've got through everything. So what?
It'll be available.
It'll be available. All right, there you go. You've got it. All right. Well, I think we're through everything on the questions. So I thank you so much for being on and for all you do. And if you have any closing remarks you want to make, well, go ahead and do that, and then we'll sign off.
No, I had another hour of stand-up to do, but no, that's fine. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate all of your efforts because you do so much. And as Scott said, you do so much for just, nothing for volunteering to help the contesting community. So we thank you for that and appreciate it. And remember, it's contestcalendar.com and 3830scores.com. And then on Twitter, it's at WA7BNM calendar. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. We'll check out the WA7BNM contest calendar, and that's going to be a wrap for this edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guest, Bruce Horn, WA7BNM, and everybody out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in and typing in. And I'll invite you back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And for a list of our guests, go to hamtalklive.com. And if you like the show, please leave us a review. That will help us more than anything. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.
Well, you came right back to my CQ call. Your readability 5 and strength 9. You never once mentioned your weather at all, and I didn't mention mine. We talked and talked for hours and hours. I completely forgot you're a ham.